obviously you're not a golfer.
I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pay.
We have heard the chimes at midnight, Master Armicello.
You're an inanimate fucking object! You told I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Who the fuck has the goddamn gall to call his house on a Tuesday night? God!
All right. Hello. Welcome, turkeys and turkettes.
Where's my meat? I need my meat.
It is the ham episode of 3 for 3. I'm joined by Jackson Workman and Sam Holler.
3, 4, 3.
Yep. We are 2 for 3 on hams.
Yes,
I will get you your
ham. Sam is on his
this.
quest for ham.
We're
I just
recording
can't
this.
find my ham right now. I need some ham, okay? I need ham.
We're recording this the day before Thanksgiving, even though it'll surely be uploaded much later. And I have with me a ham.
Is that a honey baked ham?
Say what?
Is that a honey baked ham?
It sure is.
That's the yes.
This is the prime ham right here.
Good sir.
And so that's why this is the ham special. We're going ham on this one, guys.
And I am here with deli ham.
There you go. See, we both have hams. Sam does not have a ham or a home. Our friend,
I know I'm
without
getting
ham.
ham. I just don't have ham. I don't have my meat. My meat won't rise. My meat won't sustain itself. I'm having meat issues.
He's
And
not even in the
ED
right
is a
place.
thing, but ED is not a thing when it comes to ham.
I was about to say, are you gonna? Can you at
ham.
least beat your meat, Sam?
I have no meat to beat.
Oh my goodness.
No meat to
Instead-
beat.
Instead of a hero's journey, it's going to be a ham journey for Sam.
Yeah, Sam, you look a little.
I
I
will
gotta
begin
say,
my quest soon.
I gotta say, you
to
look a
go
little
pick up
different
my
today,
ham.
Sam. You look a little different today. What's going on?
So I thought I was getting ham. I thought I was gonna be celebrating my ham, my sugar ham specifically, because it is a sugar ham. And I installed a washer and dryer into my house today and walked outside of my house and locked myself outside of my house because I'm an idiot. And so
Well, at least you have a new washer and
to
dryer.
unlock my house and give me access to my meat so I can beat it on camera for y'all. Okay.
That is our promise to
We're
you.
having-
By the
this is
end
an
of this
emergency.
episode, you will see Sam beat his meat.
I will eat my meat vigorously until it skeets.
Well, if this isn't the best start to an episode we've ever had, I don't know what is.
Weirdly, not to like choose what movie we start with, but that makes me think of Matt's movie a little bit. And just the fucking those motherfuckers beat their meat in front of each other. I guarantee
They beat a lot of
Mom.
stuff, actually. They beat a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Which I also wanna
we can start
clarify.
with. We can definitely start with Bloody Mama. We got
I
definitely
was gonna say
3 different movies.
I know Roger Corman directed this movie, but he also produced a movie called Big Bad Mama.
Yeah, no, there's Big Bad Mama too.
And I started watching Big Bad Mama, and then I was like, this is not it. And then I started, I think it was Bloody Mama, Crazy Mama,
Yep.
or something. And then I was like, this isn't the movie either. Fuck. And then that's when I found Bloody Mama.
Just Bloody Mama. Yep. So my choice this week was Bloody Mama, directed by Roger Corman.
Rest in peace.
Director of photography was John Alonzo, which I thought was fucking crazy when I saw that. And then there's
Wonderfully shot film.
yeah,
I think that was the
100%.
highlight for me, was how well this movie was shot and lit, and it made me think of Walking Tall.
I can
And
see that.
in terms of the lighting, the direction, the texture, but it's the same time period, so they're gonna look the same to a degree.
Yep.
So,
So basically, the movie is about Mama Barker. I'm trying to remember her name because even though I just watched it, Mama Barker, who is the mom of 3 sons who she's kind of manipulated and turned crazy because she herself was abused as a child by her brothers and fathers, therefore making her kind of a crazy matriarch.
Sorry.
uh, to the to her children, who are pretty much kind of the main, or it's her and her children are the main crux of the story, who are pretty much just outlaws. And it starts out with them kind of just seeing how they react, or, as a family, how they are. Starring Robert De Niro in one of his very early roles.
That caught
Um,
me off guard.
Me
yep.
too. It took
And
me about a solid at least 20 minutes to realize that was Robert De Niro.
Exactly, yeah.
I was like,
and Shelley Winters plays Ma Barker, who, but yes, she's really good. And the whole movie is apparently a true story. So it's kind of just a retelling of this little family who happened to be an outlaw family and rob banks and stuff. But throughout the movie, you kind of see there's a reason for it. It's not like necessarily they just do it randomly. There's a whole mob chase scene in the very beginning in which two of the brothers get caught and put in jail. Uh, and then Bruce Dern shows up as one of the cellmates and possibly also rapes one of the brothers.
Not possibly,
he
definitely.
did
Definitely.
he did to that guy what Samuel L. Jackson did to his son in The Hateful Eight.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
It all comes full
Um,
circle eventually.
I mean, that scene with we'll get to it, I'm sure, more in depth, but just the way he wraps his shirt around his hand and says, "I'm not gonna hurt you." But
Bruh.
so basically they go on a bank robbing spree to get them out of jail. And then they do, and they kind of just keep doing crazy shit because they're trying to lay low, but then there's a scene where De Niro just befriends a girl by the lake and then just tells her his name when he's told not
He's
to, and
artistic.
or
He's
yep.
autistic.
And then it turns out it's just heroin. But yeah, no. And then she, of course, goes crazy. The mom, Shelley Winters, goes crazy and then ends up drowning her ass in the tub. And then the whole movie comes to a big end, explosive end. It reminded me a little bit of Scarface, kind of, in some ways. I figured they would be referencing the old 32 one, like the old one, which kind of ended similarly because they had Tommy guns in that one, and they had to like smoke and shit, and it was very depressing. But
Not to just cut to the end, but the
I mean,
editing in the very last bit when all of them have died and she's just out there just mowing people down with the gun, and
and
then
then
it
she gets
freeze
shot, and
frames,
then they
yeah, it
cut
freeze frames, and then cuts to like the death of
each
one of her
child.
kids, and then cuts back to her like falling a little bit more, and then just going more and more through her death via her children dying. I was like, it really brought everything home for me, and really made it brought the movie up a lot for me because
I just want to say there's two things that I found funny because this is a crime exploitation film is what it was called, described as, which I kind of get. Comparing this to the blaxploitation film we watched, Scream Blackula Scream, it makes the title completely right at the end of the movie. And also there's a scene with the piano where there's some nice piano music, and then it just turns out it was, or not nice, but it's her slamming the piano. I like that cut a
yeah,
lot from the prison. It was a very interesting movie. I liked it a lot. Not like a lot, but like enough to be like, okay, I appreciate this, the way it was done. And I can
yep.
see similarities to other movies for sure. But because people were calling it out for like being similar to Bonnie and Clyde and shit. But I thought it was interesting. I don't know how you
That's
guys
where
felt
the
about it.
first half really didn't connect for me, and then
This,
when I realized all the people who were her sons, was like, oh shit. And then I started actually like focusing and getting into their stories, and I got really invested into Robert De Niro's heroin addiction and his like downfall as a character. And when they got to the plantation, and he was repeating everything that their slave, it wasn't their slave, but like their servant who got treated like a slave. He was when he was echoing it, I was like, oh man, Robert De Niro's character is going to be the reason that they fail, and I think his overdose and everything, and his Bruce Dern's reaction when they were hunting the gator, and it was like, oh well, bury him deep because there's animals in these parts. It really like separated the family in a way that led to their downfall towards the end. But I don't know how y'all felt. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but the guy that they covered his eyes with and took out to shoot, but they didn't shoot, which led to their downfall as well. that wasn't one of their fathers, right? Okay.
Could have
No,
been maybe her lover, but I don't think it was definitely not
Because
their
they
father.
were like wanting to find, when I kind of like checked out was when they were talking about like their father and everything, and then them coming back and wanting to like see his eyes, wanting to know him as a person and everything. I was like beginning to think, oh, he might be like the youngest child's father or something, and that's why she wants him dead too. But I just
well,
wasn't sure
because
about that.
the father was at the beginning of the movie and they abandoned him, which I didn't understand why, but
Okay,
they
I missed that for sure because the beginning of the movie I was not focused and could not focus on this movie at the beginning of the movie, so
yeah, understandably,
I missed that.
but yeah, I didn't quite understand why they left him behind, but there's the whole speech where she says like, "You've been a good father, and if next time if you ever find me again, you're going to find me in a palace, or else you're not going to find me," and so they leave, and there was the recurring thing because you see earlier in the movie, when they're sticking up the jewelry store, he's talking about it. He wants to cut the guy's eyes out, but then he notices he's got the same color eyes as his father, so he spares him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just the oldest brother in particular has that recurring thing of like anyone who reminds him of his dad, he doesn't want to kill. So that's kind of one of the reasons.
Okay,
And
that's
they
why I
grow
wanted to see
attached
his eyes.
to Pat Hingle's character.
I grabbed onto that, and that's where I was like, wait a minute. If he's asking to see the eyes of this dude, maybe this dude might actually be like a potential father figure for them and whatnot, and they won't kill him. And then they didn't. They chose not to kill him. So then I was like, in my brain, I was like, wait a minute, that could potentially be their father. But
Yeah,
thank you for clarifying that.
it's one of the more interesting parts of the movie, I thought, was the fact that in that section there was the contrast of this guy who is a much better parental figure to them than their mother, who is actually behaving like, a civilized person and treating them like a parent is supposed to. And, just the part where he says, if I was your daddy, I'd, bend you over and, give you a thrashing or whatever, like for behaving this way and shit. I don't have much to say about this movie, actually. I thoroughly disliked it and was extremely uncomfortable watching it.
Okay.
I think it was just like a pure and utter trash that was just exploitative for the sake of being exploitative and had very little entertainment value to me. But that
Jackson.
was one of the few parts of the movie I did, I not even in the moment, but in hindsight, have come to realize was one of the more interesting parts. Like just their relationship with Pat Hingle's character, how they actually kind of came to see him as a father figure in a way, and how just that section of the movie where they're taking him prisoner and you know they don't usually get attached to their prisoners, as we see with the girl, earlier, who they drown in the bathtub.
Well, Robert De Niro got attached.
True.
The
Yeah.
rest of them were like, let's get rid of this fucking bitch.
Even then, I mean, Robert De Niro, the implication to me was, her being tied up on the bed, he, was a little too attached.
Well, I I was a little unsure about that part because he was cowering next to the window on the ground to the point where I was like, maybe they were the people who like had her tied up. I think he just wanted her to stay because he needed someone to relate to him, and she initially related to him, and he accepted that and took her in and was like, well, now you're everything that I am and everything. And that's what she didn't need because it led to her problems. But I didn't think, I thought it was solely the mama that like had her tied up and everything rather than De Niro being
It
the one
didn't seem to
had
me that
tied
they
her.
even knew she was there until they came into the room, but I could be wrong. It Either way, he was getting a little aggressive with her just on the dock already, so it just seemed to me like,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
artistic.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you are, bitch.
she's asking to leave and he's refusing to let her leave. He clearly takes her prisoner. So,
Yeah,
I mean, her being tied up on the bed, I don't even think she was wearing anything below the waist or not much. So it seemed to me the implication was he assaulted her, but I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I got that vibe too. Nobody was a good character in this movie.
No,
No.
and that's one of the
Nope.
things that I didn't like just right off the bat. I'm like, okay, it's one thing to have like protagonists who are unlikable characters, but you can't make them that unlikable that soon, you know? Like just comparing this to Bonnie and Clyde, like you root for those characters for pretty much that whole movie. You know they're not good people, they're criminals, but you still root for them because they don't make them too unlikable. And even like movies like, I mean, you want to use a very extreme example, like a movie like Joker, where it's like, at least in the first half of that movie, you do sympathize with that character. And the second half, you don't at all. But at least you have that first half of the movie where it gets you in so that when the character becomes super hateable and a monster, it's the appropriate time. Or even a movie like, Man Bites Dog. Like, yeah, the serial killer guy is unlikable, but you have the camera crew there who become unlikable later on when they start participating. But at least you have that first bit of the movie where, you can at least somewhat follow them. But in this
Yeah.
movie, these characters are just pure and utter scumbag monsters, like pretty much from the jump, and just not the least bit likable or sympathetic. So, I mean, that was one of the things that took me out of it for sure. Among many other things, I mean, in the first couple of minutes of this movie, you have child rape, incest, and photos of lynchings, like in the first like 3 minutes. I was
Three
just
minutes, yeah, right off the
Yeah,
bat. I was like,
you're
oh,
right off the bat.
oh fuck.
I'm
Okay.
just
Yep.
like, okay, and none of it has any purpose other than to be shocking for the sake of being shocking, and it doesn't
I figured
stop.
they were kind of explaining how fucked up she was, but like
Yeah,
that explains her whole thing. But like, I was a little confused when I watched it because I was like, who are these people? What's going on? And then I had to kind of slowly realize as she said everything, and then they cut, and I was like, okay, this is the same group of people. And I was like, no, that's her as an adult. Took
yeah.
me a second to figure that out.
I mean, pretty much like, I was already just, I don't think I was going to recover after seeing her bathe her full-grown sons, like, cocks out and everything. I was just
Yeah,
like,
cocked
okay,
out.
I don't think I'm going to have a fun time watching this movie. But it's just
As a lot of
disturbing
people did back
for
in the day,
me.
apparently.
But say
Well, that's
what?
where I'm like,
They had a lot of the same, apparently the critics, like, because I was reading the Wikipedia on it, and the critics said a lot of the same things you were saying about, like, they just didn't like it because of that. Like, not necessarily, just like the amount of, like, shocking for no reason, it seemed like.
The
And
whole movie was just literally just trying to be shocking for the sake of it. There wasn't, again, like if you want to have shocking, disturbing things in a movie, there has to be like a reason for it. Like it has to be justified. It has to be like we're not just doing this for the sake of, we're just trying to shock you, and there's no substance to it. You know what I'm saying?
well,
Like,
that's where I
um,
do
what's an
think about Roger
exploitation? It
Corman,
seemed very,
and I'm like,
that's what I expected once I kind of got into it.
I feel like Roger Corman did this with the intent to have meaning behind all of it. But Roger Corman's budgetary restraints just gives the actors free realm to make what you think about an actor or about a character the reality, and then there's no ability for reshoots or any kind of like other secondary thoughts of like, oh wait, this didn't work. What you got is what they filmed, kind of thing. So
I feel like that's Roger Corman generally. He's just like, we're going to film this. However, it gets filmed, it gets filmed. As long as it's in
exactly.
the damn can, we're good for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple, but from what I've seen
what
of
it
him,
that's what it
it's not a
seemed
bad
like.
thing, but that's just him. Huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is the first movie of his that he directed that I've seen. So, but I
Oh
mean,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's kind
It's
of
a
like that was
wild
the,
one to start with because
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't say.
It's like Death Race 2000 is a fun one, but it's again shot and
I
just
mean,
kind
like,
of like it's
well,
very
like
just like we're shooting the movie.
but I
his
know like
movies
that's
are usually fun. This one was very much like Gator Bait, where it's like
Yeah.
you are having fun within the characters, but like not really because these people are never gonna be good people.
yeah, I wasn't having the least bit of fun. This was a movie like pretty much just about 10 minutes into the movie, I was like, all right, I think I'm checked out of this. This is I wasn't remotely invested in anything that happened after the beginning. Because again, like when you don't have substantial writing, when the writing just isn't there, there's not really much of a story other than just it's just a sequence of exploitative, shocking, disturbing events, and then it
Yeah.
ends. And there's not really a lot of like real like three-dimensional characters are writing to get behind. I mean, some more than others. Like, I mean, De Niro's character was the only one that kind of had, something of an arc, but the rest of it, it's just
They
shocking,
played so
disturbing
much
scene after
emphasis.
shocking and disturbing scene, and then it violence, and then it's just over,
There,
like
there
I
was
don't
so much emphasis on the oldest son having this moment of like being the one of all of them who is the best child, the one who has the most like couth and like understanding of what's right and wrong. And then he still made the bad decisions in the end and got killed. And then that's what led to the mama never changing. And so that really upset me.
yeah, it
Yeah, I mean, I will
Herman,
say
right? That was his name, Herman.
one thing I want to bring up is the theme song. I got
that
so
was
caught up
catchy.
in the theme
Yeah,
song.
that was catchy.
Mama, like, I was literally singing it after the movie, and I was like,
I
God damn,
remember during
it's
the
gonna be in my
credits, I
head
remember
all
after the
day.
movie thinking to myself, like, well, at least the theme song was good.
Yeah,
That was
I was
nice.
just like Jesus. And then the ending with the postcard of the honoring all the mothers
I didn't even
That
see
was
that.
cool.
behind the
I like that
credits.
too.
I was like, what the fuck? That's yeah. I also liked the shot of the one son killing himself with the Tommy gun at the
That
end,
was
like the way they
wild.
shot that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
That was
Herman,
wild. Um,
his caved in face, they like either got like a dummy and made that, but like or put it on his face, but that was realistic.
yeah.
yeah,
It was intense.
Um,
but yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I also the oldest son, I swear, just getting that mustache. He aged like 20 years after he got that mustache. Like in the earlier scenes in the movie, he looked like maybe he was, I don't know, like mid 20s, and then he got that mustache. He looked like he was mid 40s. I was like,
Yeah.
you look like a man who should have like a wife and three children. Like how does a mustache age you that much? But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, another Roger Corman movie down. Something we
Yeah.
probably I wouldn't have watched it probably recent, like anytime soon. So
It was interesting, that's for sure.
yeah,
Oh, I think I found my ham. Let's see if it works. Let's
Sam's
see if
over
I can
there in
get
the scene from
into this
Stalker.
place to get my ham. Oh! All right. Let's cut
Oh,
it off there.
Okay,
Maybe not the best way. I could redo that, but
I actually like that.
that was a good take. I like that.
Yeah, I actually thought you dropped your phone genuinely.
Yeah, it looked like you. I thought, like, did he actually like fall accidentally?
because I thought you were just gonna like prep, like woo, but nope.
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
was, and then I went way too far and then touched the ground with my foot.
that was convincing.
Okay, good.
right. My personal opinion for the next one, I think we should go with the Duelists, which is Jackson's pick.
Yes,
Where
this is the directorial debut of Mr. Ridley Scott from
it's insane that that's his first
1977.
movie.
Say what?
It's just insane that that's his first movie.
I
Like
know.
you saying directorial debut just does not make sense because it is one of his best looking movies. Period.
Yeah. I mean, visually, no question it is. Um, and yeah, so the plot of this one is, I guess you could also call this the first duel, um, as opposed to the last duel, which he made many years later. But yeah, the plot is uh, Keith Carradine and Harvey Keitel basically are two French soldiers in early 1800s France. And Harvey Keitel, he's a bit of a hothead. He likes dueling people.
Like stuck in Napoleon's cock.
Yeah, there's two things he loves. He loves dueling, and he loves him some Napoleon Bonaparte. He's getting boned by Bonaparte. There's no question.
Uh,
But yeah, those are the two things he loves the most. And one of these days, he's having a duel with this guy, and he injures him gravely. And Keith Carradine is another
under,
soldier. Say what?
understatement.
Yes.
He mortally destroys the mayor's son.
Yes, he skewers the mayor's son. And Keith Carradine is the soldier who is sent to arrest him for doing this. And Harvey Keitel says, "Hey, fuck you, fuckball," like he doesn't get Shorty. And he says, "You want to arrest me, you piece of shit? I'm offended by that. Let's go, let's fight." And so they have a duel. And because of this, for many, many years afterwards, they become mortal enemies who duel each other every time they see each other. So it's set over the course of like 16 years, and they have at least 6 duels over the course of the movie, and they're trying to prove themselves the better duelist. And
Sorry, this movie is the definition of petty. I
yeah,
swear to
Harvey
God.
Keitel is the definition of petty, and I absolutely
Yeah.
loved your review. His first time playing a bad lieutenant, but not his last. It was perfect. Yeah,
I
so
I love the fact that they're literally like they do something with pistols and they're like next duel's gonna be with pistols because they like they have that friendship of
that
like
scene, pun fully intended, was cold as fuck, where
oh yeah.
he's just got the pistols, no words exchanged, just has the pistols ready to shoot and just no words whatsoever. And the only
That
thing that
Russian
saves him is
was
the
like
soldiers coming in.
yeah, that Russian was like ready to accept them and have a good time. He was laughing and that fucker
Yeah.
shot him down.
But Keitel's a petty motherfucker, man. Like, truly. But yeah, so I picked this one because I just really wanted to see it. And, at the time of this recording, Gladiator 2 is just opening in theaters this weekend. So Ridley Scott was on my brain. And I thought, what's a good Ridley Scott movie I haven't seen yet? That's one that I really want to see. So, yeah, I don't know about you guys. I thought this was a great movie. I thought it was just really great, really fantastic. Sam, like you said, one of his best looking movies, incredible cinematography, incredible lighting, incredible, so many shots I love where it's like they'll focus on a certain thing for like a good minute and then like the camera will just like pan and you'll get an even better shot
Yeah.
afterwards. I just love that where it's just like you think they're set up for just this shot and it's like, oh no, he's got an even better one that he's going to pan
I
to
mean,
right here
yeah,
in a second. So many good
especially when
shots.
they're doing the horse duel, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a really wide shot of them running at each other, and then it cuts to these like close-ups, and then it like is David Carradine's perspective, and then cuts to like the earlier defeat of Harvey Keitel, like slowly defeating him with a la, and then you just see Harvey Keitel scalped, and he's just bleeding from the forehead down, and it's
He
just
got his ass in that one, man.
yeah,
He fucking got him. But yeah, and again, just I love the costumes, the lighting, the production design, it all just looks so authentic to the period. It really doesn't feel like with period pieces, obviously you either have ones that are cheap or ones that are real and lived in, and it makes it feel like it's really set in that time period. And this one is very much the latter, very much just a lot of attention to detail and just all the technical aspects. I think, again, the lighting in so much of the scenes is great. I heard they were trying to recreate the Barry Lyndon cinematography and the lighting with the
Worked.
natural lighting. It
they
worked.
did,
It was very good. It
they
looked
Yeah.
did it.
very good. And like the scenes where, you know, he's going to visit his mistress, or the scenes where they're just walking through the street, or just it feels real. And that's what you want from these movies. You don't want it to be too overly glamorous or kind of cheap looking. You want it to feel like it's lived in, and it does. And I think the story, I love the story because I don't want to say it was a minimalist approach, but it was very like they didn't do too much with it. It was just like, okay, it's this year, it's this time period. Here's how they meet. Here's what happens when they fight. Here's some details about what's going on in their life at the time. And we spend a good amount of time there, and then we cut to the next part. It's like they don't linger too long on anything. They give you just enough, like seeing that, where how far they've risen up in the army, what the state of the country is, details that like give you context and flesh the world out, but they don't go too much into it, and I kind of like that where it's like, yeah, let's just focus on what's going on here and now and not, again, that's good. Um,
One of the things I liked about it, which is kind of like they did with the last duel, which was they didn't make Carradine or Keitel do any accents.
yeah,
They just kept it like, their normal voices, even though they're clearly French. It's like,
yeah.
doesn't
It's
matter.
it's less
Although I will say it was very jarring and it did make me giggle a bit watching Harvey Keitel with those locks.
Those are my
And,
favorite
like
part.
the big old hat at one point when he's just walking through the forest, and then I just see
Yeah.
Harvey Keitel, and I'm just like, what?
Well,
This
what's
is
funny to
the
me
most
is
opposite outfit he should ever be in.
I do like that they used their natural accents, but it was
Mm.
definitely less distracting for Keith Carradine than it was for Harvey Keitel because Keith Carradine is still trying to like, yes, have the gentle sort of period speaking. Harvey Keitel is just sounding like Harvey Keitel for the glory of Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yes, exactly. It's like that they didn't take me out of it necessarily, it just made me giggle. I was just like, oh, that's just so
His
funny.
performance is so good you don't give a shit. You know,
Exactly. Like
it's
he's
like
not like
it's like
half-assing it.
no, he doesn't sound like he's remotely in 1800s France, but his performance is so good you just don't care. And I mean, he really just both of the two lead performances were outstanding. I think Keith Carradine was such a good job, did such a good job of playing like the soft-spoken, like I'm only doing this because I feel like I have to kind of thing, but also part of me sort of kind of enjoys this, but not really. And Harvey Keitel was just really good at playing the hot-headed, just asshole character, just he's played quite a few of those characters before, so he's got a knack for it. But yeah, they were both great. I don't know why Albert Finney was in this and just that one tiny little scene, but I'm not complaining. I liked his tiny little part. I wish it was bigger, but hey, I'll take him any way I can get him.
He
Uh,
did kill his role as Louis. So
yeah, he killed it in that one little scene he had. But yeah, and I also really liked the um the actress who played Keith Carradine's girlfriend at the beginning of the movie. I thought that was a character that I wish had more just because I really liked her. But I understood again, it was almost like I read kind of loosely based on a true story. And I liked that was almost kind of the approach that they took was like they were treating it as if it was a real historical account. So like I liked the idea of her character kind of disappears halfway through the movie, and there isn't like much of a narrative resolution with her, but that's like it's as if that's what happened in real life, because there are like as if that's a real historical account, like they never met again. Like they're going for realism over, a more conventional narrative approach, which I liked through the whole movie. Again, like not lingering too long on detail. It's as if they didn't know those details and they're only going based on historical fact. I don't know. I like that they tried to really make it seem like it was a historical piece because it kind of sort of is, but not really. But but anyway, as I was saying, oh, look at what this is. Sam has finally come back.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, Sam finally made it back to his house.
And what does he? Oh my God.
Oh my
oh
God.
oh man, the ham is so good. But like I lost my brother. His name was Charles, and he went into the dock. And the dock is the fucking packages for Thanksgiving.
Now show us the pigtail butt plug.
Oh, I got the tail blood plug. Just wait, just you wait. It's a little squiggly tail out the back.
Good
Just
God.
like in Harry Potter 1.
Sam became the ham.
Ah.
The ham. I am the dog.
No, now it's Ham I am.
Ham I am. Green
Ham
eggs
I
and Sam.
Sam was
We have
Sam.
alt.
Don't open
Wow.
your emails because it is Sam I am ham spam.
It's Ham I am or Green Eggs and Sam.
There you go. Dr. Seuss, motherfuckers.
Get
I'm
learnt.
a ham.
There you go.
Gotta beat it. Beat it.
This will 100% be the picture I post to Instagram. It's you in the mask holding the ham up.
We just keep going on with the masks.
I don't know if there's no string to attach it.
This is too good.
He's Ned Beatty in Deliverance.
I'll make you squeal like a pig, boy.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh goodness. Well, whatever the hell we were talking about before. This is an off the rails episode.
The Duelist.
The Duelists, yes.
Harvey Keitel's little French braids.
Yes. Oh my God, those French
I want to
braids.
grow them
Oh,
because they're perfect.
the ending is what we and Jackson kind of talked about for a second, but I
Yeah,
think
we
we
gotta,
that
yeah,
for all
we were
three
gonna
of us.
discuss the ending, which I think is very poignant, very haunting in a way, very meaningful. And I think it's first of all, that last shot of him on the cliffside is gorgeous. I mean, just beautiful
Mhm.
cinematography there. Um, and I think again, it's kind of poignant, the whole idea that, Matt said it when you were gone. Um, it's like, yes, he let him live, but in a way, he did die
Yeah.
because the thing that
Yeah.
made life worth living for him is now gone. His love for dueling and his beloved Napoleon
How
Bonaparte, who Ridley Scott was thinking of all the way back then before he made that film.
Just imagine the movie Napoleon happening in the back, like cut between the duelists and Napoleon.
Like
The
he
ultimate Ridley Scott
just
cut.
fully
that'd be
George
really
Lucas
cool.
is it and just CGI's in Joaquin Phoenix into this movie for a special edition.
Yes. I
That
mean,
And then
ending
off
really
camera, you
got
can
me.
hear him demanding that PTA come in and rewrite the script or he'll walk off the movie. What are you gonna say, Sam?
That moment when Harvey Keitel fires his second gun and it misses, and you're just like, oh, it's game over for him, or it's if David Carradine, right? Or Keith.
Keith.
David.
oh, it's Keith. Keith. Yep.
Keith. Okay. Carradine. I was like, oh, he's gonna like aim at him and then turn off and shoot into the air. But the fact that they didn't even have like that moment and you just had him alone walking back to the dude who was officiating and everything, it it was silence in its greatest. It really like just completely changed the mood of the ending, and you understood their level of respect to where like it wasn't about letting the other person live or die. It was the thrill of being the top of the situation and getting either the vengeance of Harvey Keitel or the righteousness of Carradine. And it just really like I think it made me appreciate both characters a lot more when he didn't kill him and you don't even know if he fired that last shot or anything.
And it's just the sound, the shot of him on that cliff is how you know.
And what I love is again, the whole theme of the movie is, honor and what it means and how, you know, like people view it and stuff. And I love again because that was the only reason Keith Carradine was even doing this for so long was he felt like he had to because he was honor bound
Hmm.
to defend his honor and all this stuff. And then, because he doesn't really like Keitel wants to do it. He loves it. But, Carradine's more just like, I don't want to fight this fucking asshole, but I feel like I have to because of honor. And I love how in the end he says, I've, gone by your standards of honor long enough. Now you go by mine.
Yeah.
Just like this is bullshit what we've been doing. I'm sick to death of it. Now that I finally have the chance to stop it, I'm going to. Like this is my idea of honor, letting you live and we're not gonna fight like animals anymore. This is what honor is just behaving like civilized people. He finally lets go of that stupid idea of honor that he's, held on to the whole time. And that was one of the most, fascinating parts of the movie to me is just seeing what people will do if they feel like they have to, even if it's
Mhm.
life-threatening,
Yeah.
just because of some stupid artificial, like, social thing that he feels like he's bound by. And again, I also just love, you want to talk about no honor. The fact that it looked to me like he was gonna shoot him in the snow.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
really
just a
really
total cowardly thing to do if that Russian hadn't interrupted them.
multiple times I was like, oh, they're gonna like betray the code of the duel where
Yeah.
like they have to be on the same rank to be even be allowed to duel, so they couldn't duel for certain periods of time because one was a higher rank than the other. at the time and whatnot. It was like the subtleties that were like stated through the dialogue, and you understood where the person was at in their lives, but then that overlaying like we are on the same level, but we need to officially be that way. Otherwise, we are a disgrace for the military and for the people who we have um are doing this for.
Right. And
And
again, like you said, silence at its best. That whole sequence, whether in Russia in the snow, so much of that was just dead quiet. I mean, just you know, just I thought it was very effective there. I thought that whole like the silence and the cinematography looked so stark and bleak, and just there's no music during that section of the movie. There's no anything. It's just like you really are like almost there with them in like the frigid tundra, you feel the
yeah,
bleakness of it. You feel, it's all just like that part of the movie I thought was very effective. It's a far cry from anything we've seen up until that point. Like it's, oh, French society, the countryside, the village, the all this, and now it's like out in the frozen hell of Russia, just like I really think that even back to his first movie, Ridley had such a good eye for visuals and for
yeah.
just that stark, bleak visual look that all of his movies have had since, just such a good eye for all that stuff.
I think that's why I'm a Alien Covenant apologist is because that movie looks so fucking good.
I can't deny that it
It
does.
looks
Like that's the thing.
so good.
Even his worst movies look gorgeous. Like Alien Covenant, if you just turn the sound off for that movie, I mean, it's visually gorgeous. But then when you hear them talking, you're just like, oh, this movie sucks ass. But but yeah, that's one thing you can't deny about any of his movies is they all look gorgeous. And seeing that he had that talent this far back, is just cool to see. And yeah, just I thought it was just a blast. I really loved it. I was so invested in this struggle. They get you so invested in what is ultimately a very petty struggle between two people, and you're
It
just so
felt
invested.
just at first and then became petty really quick.
Yeah.
Like I felt like the second he was like talking to her and she's like he's gonna kill you this time, and then that gives him the kind of the strength to go and scalp him with his sword on the horse. I was like, every time they see each other from then on, I'm like, oh, it's on sight.
Oh
There
yeah.
is no like
For
friendship or country's sake between this.
for me, I mean, just the second duel when Keitel like nearly killed him.
Yeah,
I
just
was like, oh, it's on site after that. I'm just like, this fucking guy. Like, what is your fucking problem?
and I love how Carradine was like, oh, I could have gotten up and kept fighting, but I wouldn't have done what I needed to do and what I could do, and so I chose not to do that, and I really appreciated that from his
He
character.
was really willing to do anything because even in the final fight, like he he has a bad leg, so if they fought with swords again, he would definitely lose. But he was still willing to do it just because he didn't want to use pistols.
Yeah,
He's just like, this is again the more honorable thing to do to me, so I'll do it, even though I'm probably gonna get killed. So that was a nice little detail, I thought.
I
And
just love the moment Keitel got scalped, and he was like he can't see, and then it's not even like in the moment you see the shot of him, he could still probably see, but then that blood just starts gushing all over him, and I'm just like, oh, I needed that.
yeah. Um, yeah, the whole thing was really just um you were so invested in just their struggle. You wanted Carradine to win so bad because, I feel like everyone's been involved in a situation kind of like that before where you're in this petty beef with this guy for no reason, and it's just like this guy just hates you and you're like, what the fuck did I do to you, man? Like, get the fuck off my back. And everyone's been in that situation where you're just like, I don't know, you relate to Keith Carradine's character in that way, where you're
Mhm.
just like, what is this guy's fucking problem? Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah.
Very side note, but I loved him in Dexter. Like,
One of these days, I gotta watch that.
And Dexter
Um,
Fargo.
Tell you what,
He's in Fargo too.
he
oh yeah,
was.
yeah, you're right.
He
Yeah,
was. A lot of great TV shows. He's an Oscar winner. Did you know that?
For
For
which
best
movie?
song.
Huh.
best song.
He wrote one of the songs in Nashville
Oh wow,
and won an Oscar for it.
Dang,
that's
I think I did hear. Yeah.
Yeah, so like random. Also, I can't think of any better way to end the conversation about this movie than by giving you this little fun fact. You know that scene where he proposes to his girlfriend who becomes his wife, and they're out in the field with those horses? Remember that scene where she like kind of laughs at him for a quick second?
hmm
Apparently the reason she was laughing is because one of the horses had a giant erection.
That was a great way to end that.
So again, much like the last duel, which also had a horse erection in it.
You're
That
right.
one was on camera though. We saw that one.
Yep, very very obvious horse cock.
A lot of connections between the Ridley Scott duel movies. I want a third duel movie now. I wanted to close out the duel
It's the
trilogy.
middle duel.
Yes, the middle duel. The duel that was not as exciting as the first or the last, but was still pretty exciting.
This one's actually all starring all horses, and it's the horses that were in both
And
Duelists and
instead
the
of
last
using
duel,
swords, they're using their horse boners to duel.
Yeah.
starring BoJack Horseman.
Sorry.
Then that leads to my next pick potentially. Freddy Got Fingered, which had
Oh boy.
horse sword fighting.
Ooh,
Of
Yeah.
and an elephant come.
Yeah, of sorts.
He fucks a moose in that one, doesn't he?
He does a lot of stuff in that one.
Yeah.
Backwards man.
A lot of stuff to Drew Barrymore.
Well,
But
to move on
what did
to
you
another
just
movie.
say?
That stuff to Drew Barrymore, which
Jesus Christ.
already happened to her before Tom Green showed up in her life.
Jesus Christ.
Well, moving on to traumatic things.
Yeah.
Stalker is Sam's pick.
Pipe
True.
dreams that never come true.
A wild
Fucking
movie, a
Stalker.
fever dream.
Goddamn Stalker.
Yeah. Not Drew Barrymore Stalker. This is,
Yeah, I'm not Drew Barrymore.
Tarkovsky Stalker. Yep.
I'm not Drew Barrymore Stalker, but I am the stalker of the Russian population against the Afghanistan invasion from Russia in 1978. That this movie, I think, heavily ties into the more I've thought about it. This movie gave me nightmares because I fell asleep during it twice, and it was playing in the background as I fell asleep. But Stalker, Andrei Tarkovsky's. For me it's his magnum opus, but I have not seen Solaris, and I've heard
Seen
that
The Sacrifice.
I have not seen Sacrifice either. I've seen Mirror and I've seen Ivan's Childhood. But this movie is about a dude who is a stalker, which is a person who takes people in. Well, let me start off.
Into the
You're right,
Zone.
it's Russia. It creates this area called the Zone, which is mysterious and ever changing and like very much kind of like Annihilation with that like zone that they go into. But this dude goes into this zone with people that pay him for money to go there and go into a room that grants them their deepest desires. And he's not allowed to go into this room. He had a person named Porcupine who is his teacher who went into the room and ended up killing himself like a week later or so. And there's just kind of a rule that stalkers are not allowed to have their wishes granted. And so he takes people into this room to these two dudes who he sneaks out of this like sectioned off area of Russia. They go through the train tracks, through the military camp, into the zone, and he takes them on this journey to go get their wishes granted. Whether or not that happens and what their intentions are to go into the zone is for you to find out, or for us to spoil in a few minutes. But yeah, you just you want the best for them, and that might not be the best for you. So I don't know how y'all felt about this movie. This movie is very slow, 2 hours and 42 minutes long, and there are some shots that go on for 6 or 7 minutes that don't even focus on the characters. It just like you'll have a character sleeping, it'll start at his head, and then dialogue will go on as it pans up down the creek for a while, and you'll see reflections of different things and whatnot. But I personally really love this movie. It didn't click for me until they all got to the room outside of the room. But when that clicked, it just everything was great, and I was all about it. So
Um, yeah, I deliberately put this one off until the absolute last minute because it's just been kind of a busy few days and it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And uh as this is my first Andrei Tarkovsky movie. Finally, I've been wanting to get into him for a while, so I'm glad I finally did. And what I've known about all his movies is that they're very, 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 very bleak. So I was like, I don't know if I want to watch a 2 hour, 40 minute super bleak Russian drama at this particular moment. So I waited till the last minute. I started it late last night and was like, okay, let's give this a shot. And holy shit. This is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Like, fuck. I mean, absolutely just blew me the fuck away. It's a work of art, like truly. I really just, it was the quickest 2 hours and 40 minutes I've spent watching anything in a while. I honestly just, I was ready to like, have to pause it a few times, take a breather. I only had to pause it like maybe 3 times the whole movie. I was just like, and it wasn't for very long. I was just like, okay, I'm just so locked into this. I mean, because the only reason it's that long is because there are so many shots that just go on for such a long time, but it flows so well. I mean, like it's not gratuitous. It's not something like Midsummer, which is the most boring fucking movie I mean ever made, where the shots just go on for 5 minutes, even though they don't need to. Like there's a rhythm to this where it's completely justified. I mean, the whole flow of the movie is just perfect. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like, Matt, what
I was
did you
just thinking
think?
about the scene. Oh, you can go, Matt.
I mean, I loved it. I've seen The Sacrifice, which did remind me of this in a way, but not like not remotely the same movie at all. But just like you could feel it was like, okay, this is his kind of movie. Like this is him behind the camera. And yeah, I mean, it was like it's poetic, beautiful. Like it's, the dialogue is really well written. It kind of throws you with some like a lot of existential
Yeah,
curveballs and thoughts of just like,
Very, very existential, which I was expecting.
yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you kind of expect and want. Like you get that and more, honestly.
Yeah.
But the shots are just so creative. It's like weird because I wasn't really registering as like a sci-fi movie, even though technically it is,
mhm.
because of the zone, or
Well, that's
fantasy.
the thing
Like
that I
it's just
read
like it doesn't
he
feel like it just feels like a normal drama.
Yeah. And I read he did that on purpose. Because the book it's based on was a lot more sci-fi-ish, and he deliberately wanted to make a sci-fi movie that didn't feel like one. Like there's nothing overtly visually sci-fi about it, but and I think that's one of the brilliant things about it is even though you never see anything like any, you know, like alien or supernatural or fantasy related thing, like it feels just from the tone and just from the world that they established from the beginning, like it feels so much like a sci-fi movie, even though there's nothing like that's a really masterful level of skill to be able to create such a sci-fi tone without having a single thing shown in it that you
Off
wouldn't
the
see
bat,
in a
I think
regular
that color,
drama.
the color of the frame for the first like 30 minutes of the movie, having that like mustardy
The
yellow
Yeah.
yellow tint,
kind of like
yep.
color scheme.
I was shocked when it turned into color all of a sudden. I thought the whole movie was going to look like that. And then when it turns into color about, yeah, like 40 minutes in, you're like, oh, what? Like,
But
I,
that's
it
what
was,
I
And then
love
it
that
goes
the
back when
zone
they come back
is
later too.
yeah,
hmm
the
Yeah.
zone is in color. It is real life for people, and it is his breath of
It's
living.
vibrant, it's vivid, it's where he feels alive. The city is like just gross and ugly looking, and just he feels constricted and just it was beautifully done. I mean,
I,
so much that I loved about this. Like like you said, Matt, the dialogue was fucking incredible. I mean, just, a lot of movies, that do the existentialism thing have a bunch of long monologues about stuff like that. This is one of the best. I mean, just the things that they talk about in this movie. It doesn't sound the least bit pretentious. It all sounds incredibly real, incredibly meaningful, incredibly deep. I mean, the conversations they have, like when he's talking about like the music, and how it's like on the surface level, it seems like the most hollow form of art, but it's really the most impactful because of what it does to your like soul and everything. And just like so many conversations like that, like him saying like to be strong and hard is to be near death
yeah,
and to
that
be
really
soft
got
and
me.
weak is to be more alive. It's just brilliant shit. I mean, like,
Oh,
really, just
I do have a question for y'all. For y'all, was the Stalker the main character, or was the writer the main character?
the Stalker.
Okay.
Stalker for sure.
I
Yeah, that's
think
what I
so.
thought.
I mean,
But I like the
Maybe
idea
I
of the
just
writer being
gravitated
looked at
towards the
as
writer
like,
the most, but like the writer was me in that experience, and it was my only conception of the movie was an image of a dude with the crown of thorns
yeah.
on and whatnot, and his like choice to not choose what the country needed of him, which is the masses, his fans and everything, but what he needed really like, and his choice to not go into the room.
Which again,
Really,
like you said, I mean, I was with it the whole way, but like you want to talk about the moment it clicked, like just the meaning of the movie. The moment it clicked for me what the whole thing was about and that I thought was just so profound was the very end there after they've gotten back and again a testament to how great it is when they go back to the city. Oh my God, do you feel that? You've
yeah.
spent so much time in the zone. It has become a living, breathing character of its own that when you leave that environment that you've become so entrenched in, the second it cuts back to them in the bar and it's all in yellow again, oh my God, do you feel that? But, you know, the
Well, that's what I
part
really
where
like.
he's back in his apartment and he's on
Mm.
the bed and he's just like writers and scientists.
Yeah.
They can't fucking conceive of anything that, they don't have any faith and everything is just analytical to them and they can't fucking see like what kind of people are these, It's just that was kind of just like that was really when like for me the whole message of the movie just clicked. I was like, that's I mean, it's up to interpretation whether um the room really does work and really does grant wishes.
Mm.
But to me, that was the most meaningful, impactful part. Just like, because I believe it does, especially when you see at the end, there is evidence of supernatural things because his kid is a psychic.
Yeah.
But like,
That's why I love that the color is with his kid because they are a
yeah,
product of the room or the
yeah.
zone, and that is what's in color. But the yellow kind of sepia
I
thing
didn't
is
even think about that because I was wondering because there's that one shot where they're walking back through the city and it's in color.
it's in color, but it's because she's in the shot.
Right.
Mm.
That's
From her perspective.
because that's a good, yeah, that makes sense. But like I love that again, that's the whole point is just like because I often have found that that is true. Some people, it's like just the idea that certain kinds of people like are just so just in their own heads that they have the ability to take what they've always wanted right in front of them and they just choose not to take it because they're just too analytical, too incapable of like accepting happiness or too just like I don't know, just and they're both fucked up people, the writer
Yeah.
and the
The
professor.
dude bringing the bomb was just fucking
The
insane.
second movie we have seen on this podcast where someone pulled out a bomb randomly and it
Out of
shocked
nowhere. And made a
after
joke out of
Interstate
it
60.
too.
And you cannot believe how shocked I was when that scene happened. He's like, "Oh, this is a bomb. A
Yeah.
what? This is a 20 kiloton bomb."
Yeah, his thermos was a bomb the whole time.
My eyes And again, the whole thing is just so well layered. You in that moment it becomes clear that's why he wanted to go back and get the rucksack so much.
Yeah.
That like it
That
all
whole
makes sense now.
when he leaves them and shit starts getting like fucky and you're just like, oh, that dude could be dead and everything, and then they come out to him and that was a trap that was warned by them. And I noticed like I was like, what's that thing like hanging there? And it was like it was the warning to not go that path.
Hmm.
It just
And again, just so many details. It's so well written, you don't question it. Like
yeah.
the professor never really says why he's there. He never really says what it is that he wants. And you just don't question it because they float the possibility of like, you want a Nobel Prize, don't you? And he's like, yeah, maybe I do, whatever. And when they reveal that he's there to blow the place up, it's like, I never even questioned. I never once thought, even though it was right there in front of me, that's just great writing.
I don't know if they explained if they said the professor's name, but was the professor the quote at the beginning from the Nobel Prize
I
winning?
was wondering about that. I was wondering if that was him or someone else.
Because
It would make
that was,
sense if it was
or it
him.
could have been the writer too, even like writing his story and then getting the Nobel
True?
Prize. But it did say that he was like a scientist or professor involved with what was going on, and that's what the professor was involved with, other than the dude sleeping with his wife. So he was like, fuck that, I'm gonna blow up every sense of your career whatsoever.
Even that scene, you don't know exactly what they're talking about in that scene. And then, like, a couple of minutes later, it becomes clear, and you're like, oh my God. Like, they're leaving a trail of crumbs, but you just don't know what the trail is yet. It's just so brilliant. And I also just have to say, um, first of all, the fucking shots in this movie. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, as far as the cinematography goes, just the way, like, they don't cut unless they have to. So many of the shots, he sets it up in a way to where you can just hold on that shot for like 5 minutes if you have to. Like when they first go into the zone, and it's that huge wide shot of them just standing on the train tracks and just slowly just kind of craning into them, just
I was
like,
even like when they're in the bar and it just slowly,
I know!
slowly zooms in, and then they're on the track and the background changes as you go through each character's perspective. It starts changing more and more and more.
And I
And
love,
like log thing where you see all the like
yeah.
log pushing towards them and they're like getting tight and
And I love the part where they're in the bar. It's so well staged where, yeah, just that slow push in for the entire conversation. And then right as the camera gets close enough, they both get up from the table and
yeah,
leave right
and
when
they
it's time so they
get
can just
further away.
push in on the stalker. I was like, God bless. It's like, you know, so many it's like he said to himself, yeah, I could shoot this where I get multiple shots. I can cut back and forth between each of them if I want, or I can just have one shot where I get everything I need in one like 5 minute long shot, and that's it. And that's the whole movie. And it's so brilliant. I've never seen it done. Like, again, like I love the big shot of them just walking down the hill. I love so many of the shots where it's just like they don't cut if they don't have to cut. He just wants you to soak up the beauty of each individual shot and just hold on it for as long as he can. And it's
It's
not
a
a gimmick. It's
yeah,
not a gimmick. It's completely organic to what's going on.
this is a tangent, but I really love the end of the first bar scene, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't buy cigarettes before doing this. I gotta save them." And then he smokes that one cigarette before leaving. Oh, is Jackson frozen?
Oh no, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. You were
He
very
did. I was
frozen.
gonna-
I just had a mini stroke.
and, and to my knowledge, I don't think he really smokes the rest of the whole movie until you see his wife smoking a cigarette. And so it's like, was that your last cigarette? And you were so stressed about the fact that you didn't buy cigarettes, you smoked the last one before going on this journey and everything. And it's like the depth of these characters that is like, you know nothing about them. Even by the end of it, you still really don't know giant parts of these people's lives, but you know who they are as people and everything. And you know the reasonings behind the stalker's choices for doing this as a person and for continuing to do it even after like his daughter was born without legs. And his like strain with his wife and how she was even like, take me there and I will live be happy with you. And he's like, no, because A, I can't have happiness from this room, even via through you, but also I can't let you down and I can't have you also let me down because these people did that to
That
him. It's
that was one of the most haunting lines in the movie where she's offering to go with him and he says, no, because what if you let me down too? That was
yeah.
just fuck, you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, you
I really loved every aspect of the
yeah.
movie.
I
And
mean,
I didn't expect to. I started this at like 1 in the morning and I was just like, I'm ready to be like, but no, it just from
because
the get-go.
it's sad. It's very bleak, but it's also just so beautiful in a way. I don't know. It's just like you can't help but just be like, just it's awe-inspiring, the whole thing. And I mean, just I love the the main guy. His arc is just so like I love the shot when they first get to the zone, just that shot of him laying in the grass.
Yeah.
Like, this is I'm back. This is where I'm happy. This is where I belong. Just let me fucking soak this up for a minute, lay in the grass and shit. And I love how, again, that part at the end is just absolutely fucking brutal, where the writer is saying like, "Oh, you just like being here because you're God here," and he's like, "No, like I can't be happy. I feel like I'm unhappy all the time. So the only thing I have in my life is not only this place, but helping other people be happy."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that was some of the realest, rawest shit. I mean, his performance in that scene too helped make it so real and just the idea that this guy's gonna blow up the one thing he has in his life, basically, like I felt that shit, like I connected to that just desire to just not let that thing be destroyed, that just was very profound. And I like how what do you think convinced the professor? Because I was thinking about this. It could have been two very different things that convinced the professor not to blow the place up. Do you think it was the stalker pleading with him because it's the one thing that mattered to him the most and because he likes making people happy? Or do you think it was the writer saying, this whole thing is a crock of shit and it's not real anyway, so you don't have anything to be afraid of?
I think it
I,
was the writer for me at least. I don't know about you, Matt.
what do you say?
I think it was the writer, but not necessarily for it being a crock of shit, but like the fact that he chose not to accept it as his source of happiness was like, oh yeah, this isn't necessarily what's going to stop people from doing the things that they're doing and
I
making
guess you
it.
got a point on that, yeah. I just
Yeah.
kind of thought I thought he was like, well, I don't want to screw this guy's life up a little,
Okay, so you're on the
maybe.
Stalker side. Okay.
I
Maybe
was
it's
on
a
the
little
side.
bit of both. I mean, that was something that I was genuinely, because at first I was like, oh, it was because of what the stalker said. And I was like, well, it could have been because the writer convinced him it doesn't matter anyway. So, but that's it. That's another perspective because I was thinking he was thinking about the writer saying like, oh, this isn't real anyway. It's a bunch of bullshit. But you could be right. Even if he does believe it, it's not the thing that's necessarily going to stop people. Like, this isn't the thing that is causing all these things. It's yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I'm glad you both liked the movie because I kind of did it as a punishment because you picked such long movies, Jackson, and then Matt, you picked some movies that I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like these. Ended up enjoying them, but then also Jackson, you picked our next week episodes, hint, sneak preview 9, and fuck you for that. And
uh,
so I was
well, at
like,
this point, that episode's already gone up, so
the nines.
that
Yeah, and I
uploaded
just came out
today.
Yeah,
today.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. It is out. It is
You're not
out.
even watching our own damn episode, Sam. Why should the viewers watch if you're
I,
not watching?
I'm caught, but
Exposed.
I did it because I was like, oh, well, this is my chance to pick a long ass slow movie that
For the record, I think Dr. Zhivago's the only super long one I've picked so far.
it was great.
Yeah. I
I felt
mean, I
like
will say this
Daniel
one did go
felt
by
way
really quick.
longer than it was.
So what?
Daniel felt way longer than it was. So
Fair enough.
I will say that was
Daniel
a
did.
shorter movie. I just thought it was long.
Fair enough. Um,
But
But
I will say Stalker was pretty it did go by quicker than I anticipated. I was kind of like, oh shit, we're at
it
the end.
really didn't feel that long to me. I mean, it flowed so well. Like seriously, the whole thing, the only reason it was that long is because so many of the shots were so long. Like, so because I remember like the first, I paused it to go to the bathroom at one point, and it was just after the first scene. Like only the first scene had happened, and I paused it. It said it was 13 minutes in already. I was like, Jesus Christ, 13 minutes. It's only been one scene. Well, that's because so much of it, it's just these really long shots.
and
But
I cannot pronounce his last name. Edward A something, the composer of the music, I think
thank
really
you for mentioning that. This is one of the best scores I've ever heard in a movie.
oh,
Like the music in this was beautiful and haunting, and I fucking loved it. I'm gonna go back and listen to it later because it's
Ed-
incredible.
Edward Artemiev.
Can't
Artemiev.
pronounce one of these motherfuckers' name.
But
These Russian
Yeah.
it,
motherfuckers.
some of those scenes would have just died off for me if it wasn't for like the atmospheric level of building that was on a molecular level, from the frame to the music to the sound design, where they're walking on what seems like an endless amount of glass because it's just always crunching and like grinding at certain points.
And I read that too. Apparently, he wanted to make it so that the sound effects and the music became indistinguishable by the end. Like they just blended together so well. And he succeeded because there are a lot of points where you hear like, I don't know, glass or like drops of water and like, whatever sound effects, doors opening and closing, like with the music playing at the same time. And it really works. It's almost like that's part of the score, you know? And I think the score helped the movie flow. I really think it helped maintain the rhythm. I think it had such a tight, continuously flowing rhythm that really helped carry the movie along. And yeah, that was a really big part of it. But thank you so much for recommending this one because fuck, I mean,
Completely.
seriously, just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. Can't sing its praises enough. Really just, I mean, incredible. Really just, I've never seen anything like it. I can't wait to watch more of his movies now. You got me hooked. I want to see as many
Definitely,
of
I
his.
recommend The Sacrifice.
I mean, any of them
That's
that
a
I
good
can
one.
get my hands. I saw Solaris is also on Max, so I want to see that.
Don't watch
Yeah, I was
the
about to say I'm not going to watch the
That's the
shitty
don't
remake
watch
by
that.
Steven Soderbergh. Yeah,
But
but yeah,
But all
it
right,
does
well, this
kind of
wraps
tie.
up a pretty good week of 3 for 3.
Are we 3 for 3? Because I feel like we're 3 for 3.
we
Well,
are not.
we're not because Jackson did not like
Oh, yeah,
Play
you didn't.
Mama at all. So we are 2 for 3, much like we were for a minute without the ham. But we are 3 for 3 on the ham now.
Yes, that's what matters most. We are 3 for 3 on the ham.
Yes, our sponsor is Peppa Pig for this episode. And yeah, um, we will see you guys next week for whatever special we decide to shoehorn in there.
What will it be?
What
Our
will it
special
be?
I think
B.
it should be like nannies coming in to help people, which is what leads to my potential pick being there.
Oh
That's
Lord.
in reverse.
I don't know if that's going to
Reverse.
work out because I
I'm
have
gonna
my
count.
pick already.
Does Drill Bit Taylor count?
Drill bit Taylor does count.
I already have my pick set up, and to my knowledge, it does not involve that, but
Okay.
we will see. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Abel Gantz's Napoleon, and that'll be my long movie pick of the.
The 7 hour movie.
Yes.
You fuck.
Are you serious?
No.
I was about to say, you motherfucker. That'll be my whole week.
I would be like, I got you. Yeah, there's no other longer movie yet. I don't think there's a longer movie
Pick
than that.
the old War and Peace movie that's like 4 3 hour long movies in one. That Russian one, whatever.
Yep.
But,
Oh man. But no, I was just joking. I'm just joking.
well, peace. Yeah, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Give me that.
Give me that. I should have got that. Are you going to tell anybody that I housed Dylan's burger?
Uh,
Bye, everyone.
Did
Yeah.
you? Yeah, bye. Were you
Great
recording?
episode.